Hey Star Trek fans, welcome to another edition of the Disco Deep Dive, where I take a look at the Easter eggs, canon connections, and continuity bits in a recent episode of Star Trek Discovery. This episode is for Su'Kal, the 11th episode of Season 3. Warning for spoilers: if you've not watched the episode, you may want to avoid this video until you have done so. To start out with, in this episode, we learn what may have been the source of the burn. The burn, of course, was the galactic-wide event where most of the dilithium within active warp cores went inert, causing a disaster. While we see that the titular Su'Kal may have been responsible for the burn, I feel that more information is necessary, and hopefully we get that in one of the next two episodes. This episode sees the first time that Tilly is in command of the USS Discovery. This has been a long journey for this character. It's been clear since her first appearance that this is another step on the road to her ultimate destiny. The first episode she was in, she told Michael Burnham that she will be a captain someday, and since then we've seen her journey through the command training program, eventually being named as Saru's temporary acting first officer. I definitely believe that we will see Tilly in a permanent command role at some point over the course of Discovery, and this is definitely another step on that journey. I also liked the inclusion of the revelation of the Imperfection, the metal burr on the bottom of the arm of the captain's chair. Burnham brings up that even the Shenzhou had this imperfection, and Captain Georgiou utilized it on a number of occasions. We only ever saw 2 episodes with the Prime Georgiou, the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Discovery. Saru, Burnham, and Culber beam down to the crashed ship on the dilithium planet, and thanks to some holographic shenanigans, appear very different once they arrive there. Commander Burnham has the appearance of a Trill, the joined species first introduced in Star Trek The Next Generation: The Host, featured prominently in Deep Space Nine, and earlier this season in Star Trek Discovery. Culber takes on the appearance of a Bajoran. The Bajorans were a key part of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Much of the action of that series was centered on a Bajoran-run space station. They were also first introduced in The Next Generation in the episode Ensign Rowe. Meanwhile, Saru takes on the appearance of a human. This is the first time that we see Doug Jones in Star Trek Discovery outside of his Kelpian makeup. While exploring the holographic environment on the crashed Kelpian ship, the away team encounters a holographic instructor, teaching the functions of a matter replicator. The instructor's uniform is very interesting. Some of the trim elements are reminiscent of the Discovery uniforms. However, she sports a TNG-era comm badge. At first I thought this shoulder patch was an Enterprise-era insignia. However, on closer examination, it looks to be more TNG-era in its design. I suspect this is meant to be a TNG-era field jacket, but some of the elements do definitely indicate a sort of mishmash of different eras of Starfleet uniform. Floating high in the sky above the holographic environment are a number of Gormaganders. Gormaganders are a type of space whale first introduced in the Star Trek Discovery first season episode Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad. We get a glimpse of a recreation of a ceremony welcoming Kaminar to the United Federation of Planets. I love the mention of the Kelpienbauel alliance being the government of Kaminar, showing that the partnership between the Kelpians and the Baul does continue on. This was influenced directly by the actions of the USS Discovery in Season 2 of the show. The officers taking part in this ceremony also wear a slightly older variant of the Starfleet uniform that we've seen. This appears to come from the era of Senna Tal. A uniform similar to this was worn by Tal's former host, Senna. I have a brief nitpick about this episode, and I'm not sure exactly how this error came about, but it is definitely interesting to catch. At various points, both Lieutenant Reese and Captain Saru are sporting the older Discovery-style badge rather than their new fancy comm badges. It's curious that this is the case in this episode where they've had the new comm badges for quite some time. I'm wondering if maybe these reaction shots were lifted from different episodes and placed in here without the editor or the director noticing. Seems like a very odd mistake to have been made, given that it's very unlikely that they would have ever been wearing these badges while filming this particular episode. When Osyra tracks down the Discovery, Book mentions a transwarp tunnel that she may have used, calling her crazy for doing so. Transwarp tunnels have been discovered in various parts of Federation space. We see another one towards the end of the Star Trek Picard series. Is this another transwarp tunnel that has been left behind by the Borg, or one created by someone else? We're not sure, but a transwarp tunnel is definitely not something new. It seems as though since the refit, Discovery has the ability to cloak. Cloaking of Federation vessels was previously banned under the Treaty of Algernon, a treaty between the United Federation of Planets and the Romulan Star Empire. Since the Romulan Star Empire no longer exists, it's likely that this treaty is no longer one that Federation ships need follow, and it appears that starships in the 32nd century do indeed have the ability to cloak. In the holographic environment, Saru and Culber come upon a Kelpian Elder. This gentleman is played by actor Robert Verlaque, who previously appeared as Saru's father, Aradar, in the Short Treks episode The Brightest Star. And finally, towards the end of the episode, we see Su'Kal's fortress. The Kingston Penitentiary in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, stood in for this location. I recently saw a newspaper article promoting this episode as featuring the Kingston Penitentiary, and it would seem that these scenes are the ones that are filmed in that iconic Canadian location. Well, those were all of the Easter eggs and canon connections that I found in Su'Kal. Were there any that I missed? Please let me know in the comments below. Only 2 more Disco Deep Dives to go this season for the final 2 episodes of the season. There is a Tide and That Hope Is You Part 2. I hope you'll join me for those, and thank you all so much for watching. Thanks, of course, as always, to the Patreon supporters. Your help is what makes these videos possible. I truly do appreciate it and could not do it without you. To everyone else, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, as always, live long and prosper.